today we're talking about a very serious topic of cyber safety, which is stranger danger online. So today we're going to cover what to do, how to react, and when to seek help from another adult, a trusted adult. Before I begin, I like to take some student questions that have asked me a cyber safety related question. This one comes from Cameron. How do you stay safe? And I call this an umbrella question, Cameron, because this is a topic that covers a lot. There's a lot to stay safe on online, and there's just not one word answer for you. So in short, and I know this isn't really short, I guess it's kind of funny in a way, we don't give out personal information, like we said in lesson 1. We don't share our usernames and passwords with anyone, especially a stranger. We don't go to we go to safe, high traffic websites that a lot of people visit. So we're not going to strange, unknown ones that we're not sure what they are. We don't fall for phishing scams, and we talked about phishing scams being where someone offers you something for free if you sign up, or someone's offering you something for free if you give them your username or password or log in. They use that information on different real websites, and we'll talk about that today as well. Nothing is free. No one's trying to give you something for free, okay? Nothing of value, and you can trust me on that one, okay? Try to change your passwords every 3 months. We talked about that in lesson 1. How we change our toothbrushes, or should, every season. We should change our masks daily that we wear on our face. We should change our clothes daily. We want to make sure we change our passwords every 3 months is the timeline that is recommended, or as often as possible. And remember, I said passwords could be a quick, simple tweak to your password. You don't have to change it out completely to something you're going to forget, okay? Don't download anything from strange websites, pictures, movies, songs. They can all either contain viruses or a phishing attack that tries to steal your personal information off your computer. Be careful about what you post as words, pictures, videos, okay? That can be there forever. Be thoughtful of your online image and what information you're going to put out about yourself. I'm going to show a video again within this video about someone who posts pictures to their social media account, and pictures can say a lot, videos can say a lot. So you have to be thoughtful of who you're accepting as friends, and we're going to talk about that today online, and what kind of things you're posting about, which is important as well. We're definitely talking about not meeting up with strangers today that we meet online. Okay, we're definitely not doing that. We're definitely not providing them information, personal information about ourselves. And anything you read or see online, you need to check to see if it's true. And a simple Google search is something that can help you figure out something real versus something fake that's posted online. Whether it be a meme, whether it be a video, whether it be a picture, whether it be just a regular post. You want to check to see if it's true, see if it's accurate before you just go ahead and believe it. Even I have fallen for things that I've seen posted on social media where I looked at it, I read it, and I was like, oh, that sounds right. And I actually had to do a Google search later and found out it was wrong. So you really have to make sure that you look and research what is out there and make sure, because that's a very big thing today, that anyone can just post anything. And most people are not looking into it. They're just going to repost it without thinking about it, or without even looking into it themselves. Katie from 3rd grade asked me another question. If I get sick, can I still touch and use my Chromebook? And the answer to your question, Katie, is yes. You can still use your Chromebook even if you're sick. However, you want to make sure that if it's a shared device within your house, like a tablet or a remote control, and other people are touching it after you, you want to make sure that you are making sure that you get a Clorox wipe or a Lysol wipe, and you're wiping that down when you're done, okay? That's important. You can still use it. You just want to make sure that it is just cleaned so that the next person doesn't get sick from it as well. Because if you're sick and no one else is sick, you don't want to contaminate something and get everyone else in the household sick either. So try to protect other people in your family. This was a big question that people were asking me too. How does someone get hacked or scammed online? So Chloe and another Downing student had asked that question. I also got a bunch of questions from those at Bingham too that are also participating. How do I avoid hackers' lies? How do I keep hackers out of my game? How do I prevent hacking? So a lot of you are talking about that. Now, hacking is when you have someone's information really and you're trying to break into an account. And really, to me, hacking is a crime. Hacking is just the same to me as if you went and tried to break into someone's car, or you went in and tried to break into someone's house. You are trying to get into someone else's stuff, and that is why it's a crime to me. It's really a cyber crime. It should be a crime to you. And I know, especially elementary school, I hear the word hacking thrown out there all the time by a lot of kids. You know, like, oh, I'm going to hack into this person's account. Oh, this person hacked me, or this person's a hacker on this game. A hacker is someone who can break into a system that knows the information to get in, or they're guessing the information to get in. And how they get your information is it's very easy for them to prey on you online, because you're more apt to click on things. If it says, hey, I got free this, free that. And I do use a lot of video game analogies in here because I know that's what a lot of you play. You play Roblox, you play Fortnite, you play these games that have chats, or you have these games where they offer you free stuff on the internet, especially on YouTube. They call it clickbait. Well, the other kind of bait that they try to get you in is to click on a link on a website or an email. And what happens is the attacker has this link posted online. You're clicking on it as the victim here, and you are eventually going to their phishing website, which basically means it's a fake website that they have out there to collect your information. And that's the sole purpose of this site. So what they're doing is they're collecting your information, whether you put in your username, whether you're putting in what platform you play on, whether you're putting in your password, or putting in information about yourself, like where you live. And they're collecting that information on you and using that on different websites to get into your accounts. Odds are, if you use a password on one website, it might work on another, because you might not have changed your password for it. So therefore, they use it on a legitimate website, and they're able to get in with your information. So pretty much an attacker can get in that sense. Hacks are basically happening because you give your info out there. And there's a lot of these scams going on. They are scams. And a scam is basically like a lie for something that, you know, they're advertising you something for free, just like down at the bottom of this picture, get free V-Bucks and Fortnite upgrades. They want you to put in your username. They want you to put in your platform, because that's half the battle. From there, they just have to guess a password or try to figure out a password from you. And maybe they can figure out a password from going onto your social media accounts. And I'll tell you why in the video afterwards. Remember, nothing is free. So if someone's advertising you something for free, it's not free. It's to collect your information. That's why they're advertising it as free, to get you to sign up or to sign in. Buying accounts is something else that's out there. I know because my younger nephew, who does play this game, mentioned it to me. Oh, this person's selling their account. It has all these cool skins, all these cool items in it. I told him no. I said, because the same reason. You pay money to gain access to this account. And I use air quotes for that because you gain access temporarily. What that means is the owner, whoever owns that account, who has created it and who has these items in it, let's say, has control to change the password on you. Even if you know it and you can log in, they'll change it back to whatever they want, and you'll never be able to get back in again or recover it any way. So you're out of the money you bought, you're out of the account that you were supposedly getting, right? So if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So please do not fall for these scams that are out there or these phishing attacks where you put in your information, because they're simply not true. So thanks for asking those questions, but don't be afraid to ask more questions about the topic of cyber safety, because this is really to help keep you safe. And your questions might actually answer someone else's questions or help someone else in these videos that watch. So online dangers. The internet can be a really fun place to be, as we know. We game on it. We work on it. We do schoolwork on it. There's a lot to do. There's shopping on it. It can be fun, but we must be aware of what's going on around us, just like anything else, okay? We have to be careful about who we're telling our personal information to, whether it be a website or a person online. We have to be aware of cyberbullying, which we will talk about in the next video. We will talk about harassment, which is picking on someone over and over and over again. Okay, also tied into cyberbullying. Fake news, false information, okay, whatever you'd like to call it. We're going to talk about that eventually in these videos, as well as stranger danger, which we're talking about today, because we have a lot of access to the internet, not just in games, but just online chats and social media, that we have to be aware of the people that we're talking to and communicating to and making sure we know who they are. So stranger danger online, we have to be aware of beware of strangers, and be aware of strangers, because strangers often want to add or follow us on social media networks. If we don't know them, we should be cautious about their friend requests or their follows, because if you don't know them, then odds are they're a stranger that's going to be watching information about you. Once you push accept, once you push that they're allowed to follow you, that means that they can see everything that you post as pictures, videos, whatever words you're using online. They can gather information just from that. They don't have to physically talk to you even. So we need to avoid accepting friend requests from strangers, sending personal pictures or information to strangers, messaging back and forth with strangers, whether it be on an app or it be on a game system. We have to make sure we are not giving our usernames to strangers so that they can begin to log in as us somewhere. And attempt the password hacking is what you want to call it. Knowing a username is half the battle, like I said. You also definitely, this is bottom point, you don't want to meet a stranger in person, for sure. We don't just talk to random strangers on the street and go hang out with them. We don't do the same online. The bottom part is very important too. A lot of people have good intentions like yourself online. You're working, you're doing schoolwork, you're watching this video right now. There's other people online that don't have good intentions. They're not just here to have fun. They're here to hurt people or get information from people. And since it's so hard to weed out who is a good person online and who is a bad person, we have to ignore strangers. We simply don't know. Therefore, we cannot trust. Okay? So dealing with strangers online, people you don't know are strangers. They are not always who they say they are. And they can look pretty and friendly, but they might not really be behind that computer screen. So be nice to people on the computer as you normally would outside on the playground, in the park, whatever. Keep your personal information private, though. You never share personal info with people you don't know. The more you give to someone that doesn't know you, the more they're pretty much collecting on you. It's like a puzzle piece. They have your age. They have your location. They know where you go to school. All these little bits of information you give help them complete the puzzle on who you are, where you are, okay? That's very important not to give out. If you ever get an uh-oh feeling, like something's not right or something said or asked makes you feel uncomfortable, you get an adult at home or you tell a grown-up that you trust. It's either at home or at school, and someone will help you out. You don't need to be stuck in this option of saying, all right, the stranger's talking to me, now what, right? I'm going to give you some tips and tricks of what to do if this does happen to you later in the video, because there are options, especially if you're on something by yourself. And odds are you're going to be on something by yourself. You're not going to have a parent or guardian watching what you're typing every time. You're not going to have a parent or guardian watching and listening to who you're gaming with. And this is why it's really important that you know the skills so that you can be, first and foremost, your own protector. You have to guard yourself at the same time. And, you know, your parents are there to guard you. Your teachers are there to help keep you safe as well. But you also have to be in charge of keeping yourself safe, okay, at the end of the day as well. I mean, we can tell you, but you're going to be the one that actually has to do it. So fake accounts and fake people. On the internet, people aren't always going to be who they say they are behind that computer screen. And there's something called catfishing. So it's basically when someone takes someone's pictures or videos and pretends to be that person. And this is very common online. And this is why I tell you, you have to avoid strangers. You can't trust that if someone says that they're a kid to you, that they're a kid. You can't trust that that person in the photo is really the person you're talking to on the computer. It's not possible to just trust on that issue alone. It's like flipping a coin and guessing whether they're going to be exactly that person or not, and you can't take that risk. Pretending to be other people are examples of this. Strangers who try to get to know you, and a person trying to meet up or hang out with you is an example of a fake person or using a fake account to try to get a hold of you. Okay. We're going to watch this quick video together about online privacy. And this is the video I was referring to about your photos and your videos that you post online. And even if you're not talking actively with a stranger, if you let them add you or follow you, can still have access to this information and can look at everything that you're posting online and learn about you that way. So watch this video together and then we'll discuss.
Today is my birthday. I'm gonna post a story. Let's meet outside school. Happy birthday! Selfie? Yeah! Hey guys, let's shoot some hoops. Basketball court at 4. I'll be waiting for you at my place to celebrate. This is my address and my phone number.
Happy birthday, David! You're very popular, aren't you? You have lots of friends. You use chats and social media all the time. They know everything about you. What you like, when your birthday is, who your friends are, the sport you play. But they could also know your phone number and where you live. Have you ever thought that what you share online could be read by someone that is not so much of a friend? Always remember to take great care with the personal information and photos that you share online. Share with care. Now let's go celebrate. Your friends are waiting for you. Remember, pictures and information that you post or send can be easily reshared by others, so they could remain online for a very long time. Be careful when posting. Don't share phone numbers, addresses, or personal details. This information could be misused by others. Always check your privacy settings of the apps you use. It's important to know what people can see or who can contact you. When signing into a website or social media, ask an adult for help and advice. Choose a difficult password and share it only with your parents. Take great care with everything you share online. If you have any doubts, always ask an adult for help.
So we can see from that video that just the posts and that David made just gave a lot of information about himself, that he liked to play basketball, when his birthday was. He posted his his phone number and his address out there. That's kind of information that someone can just watch and you can see that wasn't actively talking to, but a stranger could get a hold of that information if you allow them to follow you. So that's something else that's very important to recognize, is that if you are on apps, and I know by third grade, third grade, we usually are using social media of some sort. I know my niece is on Facebook Kid Messenger. Okay. I know my 5th grade nephew is on apps like TikTok. He's on Snapchat. He's on different games. I'm trying to think of that one game, Among Us. He's on his headset on PlayStation. This is a very real thing, and you got to make sure that your social media is set to private so that not just anyone online can see your stuff. You want to make sure that you have someone help you out at home and help figure out how to change your privacy settings on your social media apps. You don't want just anyone just looking in on your stuff. You don't want it public. And listen, this isn't about getting all these likes and all these followers. That's not what it's about. Followers can be strangers, and we don't need strangers looking at your page, especially at this age. Okay? So let me go to the next slide here. This is going to play again, obviously. Let's see if it's going to let me. So this next video I have for you are teenagers who are talking about their encounter with strangers online. So these are preteens and teens. However, I think this is very relevant given the amount of technology we're using. Each of us have a Chromebook in our hands. Therefore, we have the access to the entire internet at our fingertips. And it's very important to know if you are talking with a stranger, whether it be on a Chromebook, on a tablet, on a video game, you have to know, first of all, that one, I don't agree with everything that these kids say. These are just their personal experiences, but I thought it was interesting to hear from them since I am not in their shoes. But I did grow up with a growing amount of technology, but there's even more so today. And I want to tell you that, first of all, they talk about something called Internet Best Friends, IBF, in here. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think you can be a best friend with a stranger. Therefore, that doesn't exist. Okay, that might be a term that's out there. That is not a real thing. I also don't agree with the word trust that they say in here. You can't trust someone that you never have met in real life, that you don't know who it is in real life. Therefore, you shouldn't be trustful of strangers. Okay, you should always be cautious of strangers. At the end, I think they do wrap it up that way. However, in the beginning, I get a little cautious about watching this because I want to preface with it that you should be aware that the people you talk to could be anyone. They could be lying to you. They could be manipulating you. And you have to be aware of that and have your guard up. So watch this video with a grain of salt in the beginning, because not everything they say is, concrete truth, okay? This is from their personal perspective. So we'll talk about that more at the end too.
There are a lot of people out there who aren't who they say they are, in small ways and big ways.
I think it is totally fine for someone to become friends with someone online, but you have to be very, very careful.
They're thinking over their text and their pictures could be fake.
On social media, you can talk to people, but you can't really get your emotion across.
Talking to strangers online, it's 50-50.
Some of the benefits of online relationships, it's definitely easier to interact and talk to people because you're thinking about what you're saying and you just are more comfortable.
Right, so some of the greatest parts about having a friendship with someone online is that they're easily accessible. You can just text them, be like, hey, what's up? You can have that sort of immediate connection all the time.
If you are in a smaller community, becoming friends with someone online allows you to become friends with someone who has a similar interests as you, and you can have a really good friendship with someone.
I really do enjoy playing video games. Connecting with other people, whether they're strangers or if I'm playing with my friends and talking to them and doing something together. I think that that's really fun, that we can all enjoy the same thing.
You don't feel like you actually have to deal with this person. So if they don't like what you're saying, they can leave. And if you don't like what they're saying, you can leave.
Sometimes having conversations can just be they can make you sort of anxious. When you're online, you're behind the screen. It'll make it easier for them to say things that they want to say, that they might not say in real life.
There is a very significant difference between a real friendship and an online friendship. That's not to say that your online friendships aren't real, it's just that they're different.
There's something called IBF, so Internet Best Friends, and basically they text and they become best friends, but they haven't met them in real life.
I felt a lot of genuine trust between the people that I talked to online because they were really close friends of my close friends. It's just, I think trust is the main thing.
So I have become friends with people who are friends of friends, or I know through other people. I'll add them on, Instagram or Snapchat, whatever it is I'm using. And maybe I'll just say hi or just start a conversation.
There's things that you can tell people online that you can't tell people in real life. At the same time, you have to know how to be safe, right?
I would say I'm more comfortable talking face to face because on social media, you can talk to people, but it's hard to communicate a sense of realness and like emotions.
If the person is a total stranger to you, they may have an alternative motive trying to get other information out of you.
They might be pretending to be somebody that they're not. They might be using you for something.
Like, please don't tell people online your full name or where you live.
You don't actually know who they really are, and you need to be sure that they're okay.
I think a lot of people assume that because you have a friend online and they're kind of not always in your day-to-day and you can choose and edit what you say to them, that it's always going to be good. But it's still a relationship. It's still two people, and you're giving them a lot of information about yourself.
So the end question is very good. What do you share with others online is that last question that came up. And I think that's very important. What do you share with others online? One, you shouldn't share your personal information at all. And that's why I made that the very first lesson for my cyber safety video web series here. You definitely don't want to share that stuff with other people. You don't want to share where you are, where you go to school, what your age is, because that gives a stranger the opportunity to figure out where you are. Because if they're not where you are currently, strangers can find out where you are and come to be there, which is a scary thing. So you do have to be aware of what information you're giving out, and you do have to be cautious of strangers. I know they said in the video, one boy said that talking to a stranger online is 50-50. And I've posed this question in live class sessions before. Would you really want to take a coin and flip it heads or tails and decide whether a person's a good person or a bad person you're talking to? Because that's really what you're doing. You don't know. And it's a chance. It's a risk, really. And do you really want to risk your personal safety just to talk to someone online? That's really what it boils down to. And the answer should be no. You shouldn't want to take that chance of flipping a coin every time that you talk to someone and try to decide whether they're a good person or a bad person. We should just ignore strangers, like I said in the beginning of this video segment.
There are a lot of people out there who aren't who they say they are, in small ways and big ways.
I think
So we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts. Okay, like I said, not everyone is who they say they are online. You have to be safe by keeping your guard up. Okay, being smart, being aware of who you're talking to and what's going on around you. It's like knowing your surroundings when you're out and about. If you're walking down the street, you should know who's walking around you. Is anyone following you? If you're in a store, you should be close to the grown-up that you went to the store with. You should be traveling in groups of friends if you're out. Okay, never really walking alone anywhere, especially at night. So there are things that you do in person. There's things that you should do online to be aware as well. Okay, you have to do that to be safe. So some do's and don'ts of stranger danger safety here. Do keep an adult at home informed. You should always let someone at home know who you hang out with and where you will be. Okay, this is going to help keep you safe. You don't keep secrets from your parents. You don't keep secrets from a parent or guardian. Because, listen, if you decided for some strange reason, which you shouldn't, to go meet with a stranger and you didn't tell anyone where you were going, no one is going to be able to help you if you get into trouble. Okay? You really have to not keep secrets about who you're talking to online. Because if you do, you're going to, you could wind up, not coming back home, basically. And I don't want to scare anyone, but the reality is if you're deciding to do that, that's not good. Okay. And like I said, it's a big risk. It's not even a chance. It's a risk that you're putting yourself in. It's a very dangerous situation to put yourself in. So I will guarantee you, if you said today that you were going to go meet with a stranger to your parent, that they would 100% be telling you no, and they'd be very upset with you. So we don't talk to strangers. We don't even contemplate meeting up with strangers. Check your privacy settings. Make sure you update it and make sure your online profiles are private so no one can freely access information about you. That's important. And most importantly, ask an adult for help. These are things we do. If you're unsure, if you're uncomfortable with what is being asked about you, if you get the uh-oh feeling that something's not right when someone's talking to you or asking you a question, you tell a trusted adult at home. Okay? The things we don't do are we don't meet up with strangers at all. That's why it's the very first one. You never agree to meet up with a stranger online. Even a kid, if they say that they're a kid, may not be who they say they are. And you really cannot take that risk, like I said. Don't give out personal information or details about yourself. And this is what I was talking about with the privacy settings. If you don't update your privacy settings, you are giving details about yourself, whether you're telling someone personally or not. You don't want strangers to get a hold of your personal details. And once they start asking about things, that's when red flags should start going off to you if you don't know who they are. You never send pictures or your location to a stranger who asks. They don't need to know what you look like or anything about you. And I did want to mention a portion because I know this is a reality now, is gaming safe with strangers, okay? Odds are a lot of these video games out there have you paired up with random people that are playing the same game, whether it be on a team gameplay or not. So if it's not a solo player game, your odds are you're playing online, you're connected to the internet now. I was telling people in other class sessions that when I grew up, gaming used to be where you just got a disc or you got a cartridge and you would just put in the cartridge or pop in the disc to your gaming system and it was just you. Or if you had a friend or friends over, you would have controllers just like this picture shows of sitting next to one another, looking at the same TV, split screen. Today, all these devices are connected to online platforms so you can expand who you play with. Okay. Now, that's a good thing and that's a bad thing at the same time because it does provide more of a risk. So I want to talk about gaming with strangers. Blocking everyone out and sealing ourselves in a glass box for the rest of our lives is not possible, okay? Especially if we're online gaming. If you're already online gaming, then you're already at a risk as it is, and we need to talk about that risk. If you're gaming with headsets, if you're gaming with chats, if it's on a gaming system, if it's on a tablet, if it's an iPhone, Chromebook, doesn't matter. As long as it's connected to the internet, you have that risk. And we're going to talk about that and how to stay safe there. Okay? So here's the thing. If a gamer is there to game, they're going to talk about the game only, even if you don't know who they are. However, you want to keep the chat strictly about team gameplay only while you're on there. Real gamers will focus on the game, not you. Once that conversation starts shifting, you have to know where the line is, okay? Line of decency here. So once they start crossing the line between talking about gameplay and changing the conversation to you, how old are you? What school do you go to? What grade are you in? These are questions that should pose red flags to you. They should be going off. There should be bells going off in your head like there's a fire. And you should be saying to yourself, why is this person asking me? And then there's things you can do, okay? If you get uncomfortable with someone's questions that they're asking you, especially in gameplay or on social media, you need to know how to block people. You need to know how to unfriend people. You need to know how to mute people. And here's the other thing. If you're ever uncomfortable in a game, you have the option to leave the game and join a new one, okay? You don't have to stay in a game or a match with someone that is asking you uncomfortable questions or making you feel uncomfortable or weird, okay? Same rules apply. You don't have to change who you are to be, to be safe from strangers. You can still be the nice, friendly, kind person you are, but you don't give out your personal information to a stranger. You have the option to ignore them. You don't have to respond with answers just because they're asking. Just because they're asking does not mean that, they have a right to the answer. You don't have to tell them. You have a right not to tell people. And ask an adult for help. If you ever have a problem and you don't know how to block someone, you don't know how to unfriend someone, an adult will come over and they will help you if you're feeling uncomfortable with how someone's talking to you on a game, on social media. They will help you figure out how to block someone, how to leave, how to do what you need to do to keep you safe on there. Okay. And I want to talk about this because especially for my third graders, you are eventually going into middle school next year in the fall. And I know we're talking about it already, but this is a statistic from 4th grade through 8th grade. So that's all of Voltz's grades. And I just want to show you this because It does get scarier as we go down this list, but I want you to know that kids still do this, and I want to make sure that you are not one of these kids that proceed and do all these, okay? So 40% of kids in 4th through 8th grade connected or chatted with a stranger online, okay? That doesn't seem so bad, but still they're talking to a stranger. 53% of those kids shared a phone number with a stranger. And you can see that's a large chunk of kids that are sharing their phone number with strangers. And you might not think it's a big deal, but it can be. It can lead to a bigger deal. Because as you get talking to them, look at what happens. 15% of those kids tried meeting up with a stranger. Okay? That's dangerous by itself. And when we get to 11%, even though it's a smaller percentage, it's still not zero. It's still not zero. It still doesn't mean that 0 people went ahead and did this. So 11% of those same kids met a stranger in their home, a park, a mall, or a restaurant. You never do this. You never do it. Okay? You never go ahead and meet up with a stranger. It's one thing to be talking to a stranger on a game and it's strictly about the game, but once you start talking to them and forming a friendship or a relationship, or you start handing out phone numbers or you're trying to meet up with them, this is how it gets riskier and riskier, and you're putting yourself at risk more and more each time. So people aren't always who they say they are. You hear me repeat that all the time, and that's something that you should take away with you today. A stranger can be pretending to be friendly and kind to get more information from you in order to meet with you. You wouldn't want to meet up with a mean person. A stranger is manipulative, which means they'll lie to you. They'll even pretend to be someone else. A stranger could be even an adult pretending to be a child, which is why I said with the catfishing issue, you don't trust someone's profile picture just because they look like a kid and they sound like a kid when they text. Does not mean that you take it for granted that they're a kid, okay? A stranger could be trying to find a way to hurt you. And the bottom line, if you're going to take one thing away from the video today, is you do not build friendships with random people online, random strangers online, okay? If it's someone from your class and they're asking to follow you on social media or be your friend online, that's one thing, okay? You know them from that. If you play sports and the kid doesn't necessarily go to your school, but they're on your soccer team, your football team, your basketball team, that's okay because you know them in person, okay? If they go to a summer camp that you've been to, or you've met them from before, that's okay. The things that are not okay is when you don't know who they are, you don't know where they came from, no one else knows them, and you're talking to them. That's where you are building a friendship and you don't know who that person really is. So I wanted to give you some scenarios here, okay? And they're already filled out because this is online, but I just want to give you some examples of things. I had actual classes guess these. But this is scenario 1. Someone requests to be your friend on Facebook. You don't recognize the name of the person, and you have no mutual friends with anyone else. You decide to add them as a friend. They begin messaging you and asking you about yourself. You decide to respond and strike up a conversation. So this was deemed as unsafe. We did a fun game of turning our camera off if it was unsafe and keeping our camera on if it was safe. This is unsafe because you don't recognize the person's name. You don't recognize the person's picture. You have no friends of their friends. Like, no friends know this person online. This is like a brand new person. You don't know where they came from. You don't know who they are. And you've added them. And not only did you add them to look at your profile, but you are striking up conversation with them and chatting with them. Okay, that leads to more dangerous activity there. Scenario 2, on Snapchat, someone who appears to be your age requests you as a friend. You add them. A short while later, they begin asking you to send pictures of yourself. You aren't sure at first, but think it's not really a big deal. This is unsafe because, like we said, we never send pictures of ourselves to someone that we don't know, okay? We don't chat with anyone that we don't know. We don't especially respond to requests from someone that we don't know at all, okay? Even if it doesn't seem like a big deal. Scenario 3, John wants to follow you on Twitter and TikTok. You know John because he lives a couple of streets over from you in Runnymede, and you are in the same grade at school even though he's in the other class. You allow John to follow you on both social media platforms. Safe or unsafe? This one is safe because you know John. He's in the same school. He goes in the same building each day as you. he is in the other class, and even though that he's in the other class, you know of him, you've seen him in person, and other people that you know him. Okay, he also lives in the same town. Okay, these are all things that make it more safe to add him as a friend on social media or allow him to follow you. Scenario 4, someone you met online says they are around your age and wants to meet up. They don't go to your school. They are not in any of your classes. Even though that you shouldn't have, you have already told them personal information about yourself and where you live. That person wants to meet with you at a nearby park to play this afternoon, safe or unsafe. Obviously, if it's someone you met online, you don't know them from, being in person, they don't go to your school, they're not in any of your classes, you don't know them from your football, soccer, basketball team, whichever team you're affiliated with, and you're starting to not only talk to them online, but you're now contemplating meeting up with that person, this is completely unsafe. This is probably the most unsafe that you can get. And at this point, obviously, you want to get an adult involved, whether it be a parent, a guardian, a teacher, to help you out and guide you in the right direction. Because obviously, this is not a good direction. This is highly dangerous. So this is the part where I'm going to leave you at. This is the question and answer part. So what questions do you still have about stranger danger or cyber safety in general? And you can see that a lot of questions in the beginning were not about stranger danger in general, and that's completely fine. They were about being sick and about hackers and how do I stay safe online as a general question. So you do, obviously we have questions that come up as we're thinking about them, and it doesn't have to be today. You might think about it tomorrow or next week or maybe a month from now and have a question for me that maybe I didn't answer yet or that you didn't hear from me. So on this Google form, and you're going to see this on my interactive STEAM lab as well, you can access that form and ask me a question. Now, when you click on that form and open that up, you don't need to necessarily give me your name here. The name is optional. You don't have to put a name. You can leave that blank. That's up to you if you want to put the name and have it advertised for everyone as a question. However, the important part is adding the question piece. What would you like to know about being safe online? And this is just a general question because this is your area to ask me a question now. So it's a very simple form, and then once you ask your question, you can push submit, and I will take those forms. No one else sees them but me. And if you didn't put your name, I will just ask that question by an anonymous student. And if you do, I will feature your question with your name on the next slideshow video I do. I already have some questions for my third video that I'm going to put out, and that will give people more of an idea of maybe what to ask and what kinds of questions to ask. And as you learn more questions will come up. And they can be specific questions as well. Like if you are on an app or if you are on a system, you can give me scenarios that you've been in and ask me for advice as well. And I will answer your question to the best I can. So try that out and make sure that when you're on these devices, hopefully you take this information with you and you stay safer online. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you come in next time for our next lesson on cyberbullying. That is another important topic that we'll be discussing.